everyone, I'm Sanjay C from youtube.com/Sanjay C, and I'm here at Secret Studio, and G has some questions for me. You're interviewing me, right?
Yeah. That was a great intro, man. Thank you so much, Sanjay. Welcome
Thank you
to
for
Secret
having
Studio.
me.
I'm super excited about this, man. And
Me too.
I think just your journey has been like just remarkable. I think, I've been a fan of your stuff, the stuff you've done. A lot of the plugins I've got was because of you, and a lot of the hardware and stuff as well throughout my journey. And I just want to really touch on kind of like how you got started and like where it came, because dude, you can sing, play guitar as well, right?
Guitar, keyboard's my main thing. Yeah.
And I remember last year seeing you on the, you was at NAMM and you were playing the keyboard on the wall.
Yes, I was. Yes.
Wild. But this is what I'm saying.
So
like,
cool.
I go to your, even though like I go to NAMM and stuff, I still go to your channel to see what's new at NAMM.
Thank you.
There's no way I'm going to be walking around like everywhere to see stuff. So,
wow.
But obviously, dude, like people who are kind of watching this now, they're aspiring musicians and people trying to get into gear.
Yeah.
So I just want to touch on like how you got started into music specifically.
Sure. Yeah. I started playing piano when I was 5 years old, and I was actually classically trained for 15 years. But at that point, I wanted to write my own music, write my own songs. And then once I wrote my own songs, I wanted to produce it. I wanted to arrange the music and actually share it with people. So I taught myself music production. And I think that really started this thing in me where I was like, I started to get into the gear. I started to get into learning more and more about it. And I took a little break, actually. I took like a 10-year break and wasn't motivated or, wasn't working a lot on it. And I said, I got to get back into this. And I said, what's going to keep me motivated, learning more about music production, keeping up with it? And I said, what if I just shared everything I learned and everything I got on YouTube? Because then it gives me a reason to keep going, keep learning.
Yep.
So I did that. I started the YouTube channel just sharing the first piece of gear I got, which was a C-board block at the time. And people responded to it, and they said, hey, we like the simple way that you talk, you explain things really well. I'm like, yeah, and I actually enjoy doing this. So I got started that way and continued making more and more videos, and it takes a long time to build a YouTube channel, but once people started coming, it's been going really well, and I've been truly blessed by it. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. And when did you kind of start? How many years ago was that? Because obviously you built up to now. How many subscribers is it?
We're about 430,000, somewhere around there. 436,000. My wife Darcy correcting me. Yes.
For the number.
Yes.
But like again, like people will look at this now and see as wow, but the journey to get there obviously would have been very, very hard, right?
Yeah.
Did you have blockers? Was it kind of bits you're like, oh man, this is kind of taking a while?
Absolutely.
So how many years ago was it? Did you say?
Started about 5 years ago.
5 years ago. Wow, you grew the channel that much in 5 years.
Yeah.
And how important? Actually, one question I've got is how important is consistency with what you do?
So I think it was hugely important in the beginning.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is it kept me, so I actually did this thing. I put on the YouTube banner, I said, a new video every week.
Wow.
Which, back then there were maybe 100 people, 200 people watching, but it actually was me making a commitment to do something. So to be consistent with it, whether or not people were there to watch, whether or not a video got a lot of views or not, I was there to keep learning about music production, keep sharing what I knew, and keep making those videos. So that was the consistency in the beginning. Wow. Now we're at a point where Darcy and I, who are kind of like running this thing, are saying, let's take a step back and let's say, what should we really be creating? What do we want to do with the community? How can we grow this thing even more? So now there's a little bit less emphasis on consistency, more emphasis on quality, and how can we grow this thing even more?
Wow, that's amazing, man. I mean, yeah, like I said, like, being a fan of what you do and the stuff you show, I think it's important, especially for people who are out there who don't really know where to start. They don't know where to go. And your channel really shows that kind of like, okay, I've got like, this amount of money and, how do you stay, actually, this is a question I've got. How do you stay so up to date and stuff? Like, that's crazy.
It's actually...
Is there a secret?
No, there is no secret, and anybody can do this. But I actually I subscribe to all the newsletters, so I get all the emails possible. I also keep in touch with some of these companies, and they let me know ahead of time that, hey, we're going to have this great deal coming up, or we're releasing a new plugin, we're going to have an intro price. But I really think that when I started this, simplicity was one of the key ingredients and one of the things people really responded to. So keeping my tutorials simple, making sure that this was something that was open to everyone, no matter what your budget is, no matter where you're from in the world, that this stuff is accessible. You can do it with just your computer too. So the budget thing was important because I really wanted everyone to believe that they could make good music without having tons of gear, without spending tons of money.
Yeah, yeah. No, I love it, man. I love it. And Sanjay, just lastly, I want to touch on kind of what advice would you give to someone who, you know, is kind of young and, you know, they're a bit kind of, they don't know where to go. They think like, you know, being an A-list is what the route is. And obviously nowadays, especially in 2023 and onwards, you know, there's so many ways to kind of, you know, grow your career in music. You don't have to be that one specific thing. So what advice would you give to someone kind of starting out?
I mean, look at what I did, right? And I'm good at piano.
Yep.
I'm okay at music production, but I found something that helps me keep learning, helps me put out my music. Now I have people listening to my music as well. It's not the traditional way at all. I'm not saying, hey, I've got tons of people on Spotify listening to my stuff, but they hear my music on YouTube. There's so many ways to get into music production, so many ways to get into a music career, so many things you can do. Find what you really love to do and listen when people tell you, hey, you seem to be really good at this. Make good connections. And I think the biggest thing, if you want to make it as an artist, I say throw perfection out the window. Don't strive for that perfection. A lot of us producers and artists are like we're working on a track for months and months when it really just should be done. Get it out the door and work on the next thing because you're going to keep getting better and better every time you put something out there. And also it helps you grow your audience and helps your audience respond to what you're putting out there. So get it out the door.
I love that. Well, that was amazing advice, man. I think that's amazing. And what's actually, I said that was the last question, but I got one more.
Yeah, sure.
What's next for Sanjay C?
Wow.
Album.
Yes, that's a big thing. So Dorothy, my wife and co-host of some of the things we do on the channel, she's been encouraging me to put out more of my own music.
Yes.
And I've kind of been fighting because I'm like, hey, I do in my videos. You know, when I was reviewing that mic, I sang my own song. But she's like, no, you got to finish those songs. You got to put them out there.
Yep.
And I think it's important. And it's important because it also helps you experience what other artists are doing, the challenges that they have. So I need to put myself in their shoes and show them how I can grow as an artist too. Because then they'll look at me and say, I can do that too. Yep. Or he understands the obstacles, he understands the struggle too. Yep. And I think I need to do it. And of course, I do it also because I have a love of music and I do want to get my music out there too.
I agree. And dude, your music is amazing.